Testing. Hi, this is Eva from Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. So, you guys are talking about Stonehenge. Yeah, I did hear a tad about them finding some shafts. Everybody's all flipping out about it. Like, how did they not find these giant shafts before? It's like reality is just getting less and less likely. I just wonder, I mean, how much of this flipping around before people start to wake up? Okay, QP is first in. Welcome. She says, what's with the pieces on the outside of the ground? Yeah, I don't know. I just saw that, and I don't even know what half of it is. Actually, I've been really busy, so I hadn't really super searched as much as I do on some of these weeks for these. There have been some crazy huge deep shafts found around Stonehenge that are 4,500 years old, 2 kilometers in diameter. 2 kilometers in diameter. Kilometers. Diameter is, you mean length, right? And they were only recently discovered. I'm going to have to look that up real quick. Let's see. Shari D's in. Welcome. Phil Cantu, Moonlit Illusion. Mark. Kilcook Monty, Mandela. Janice Windsor, welcome. Leah Broadwater. I didn't get very advanced notice up this time, so I got back at like 11. Then I had to find something to put up for the thumbnail. Julia Spoony is in. Good morning from Austria. Good morning. There's a road near it that keeps coming, disappearing. Are you talking about that Stonehenge one? That one I did on the show a while ago, that road that's right next to Stonehenge. For me, it wasn't there, and then it has been for a while. So it's not a flip-flopper for me, but it's definitely a Mandela. Look at the hotel near the towers. Talking about the Twin Towers. That's an older ME for me, the Twin Towers Hotel. Like, I don't know, 6 months or something. I guess that counts as old these days. And Della is actually awake for one of the shows. Okay, before I totally forget, I actually have another show on tomorrow in the middle of the day. Or actually, I guess it might be. Why does it say 8 a.m.? iMac 2020 interview with Eva. Oh, it's an interview. Oh, okay. They did do an interview with me, and I guess that's premiering at 8 a.m. I think these are Eastern times, actually. I forgot about that interview. I'm like, I'm not on at 8. Okay, so at 8, apparently, there'll be an interview. I guess I should upvote myself. Woo! June 25th at 8. 7 hours from now. So, that would be 7 a.m. for me. So I don't know what the 8 a.m. is. 7 or 8? I'm not sure how accurate that is. But also my show is on. So it's going to be on Mandela Effect Conference channel. You can get there at imec.world. There's going to be other people after me. So here is the schedule. 2 o'clock is my pre-recorded show. So I should probably be on there just kind of chit-chatting. The chat will be open on the sides. You guys can chat. And they'll be taking questions. And then those questions will be collected by the moderators. And then at 2:45 to 3:15, I will be, hopefully, if all goes well, on live and answering questions that are fed to me by the moderators. And you can also chit-chat during this. And this will all stream onto YouTube, that channel that I just showed you. So you guys just have to show up at 2 Eastern, which is 11 Pacific, if I have that right. All right, and then after me, there will be other people going. So I'll be like from 2 to 3:15, first the show and then the chat. And then after me is going to be Sean Bond. And then he will have his show, his pre-recorded video, and then his chat. Then there'll be a break. And then there's going to be KLH will have his show. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that one. Then there's going to be a panel discussion where all of the people from that today, well, tomorrow will be on. So me, Sean, and KLH will have like a hour long discussion where they'll take questions and we will take turns answering them, or however, whoever wants to answer questions will answer. So tomorrow's my day, anyways. In case you guys wanted to catch me during the day, it was kind of late notice, but oh well. You can see how organized I am. Not. All right, so yeah, I'll be on like 3 times tomorrow. I probably will be snoozing away at this 8 a.m. one, so probably won't be on the chat at that time. I'm like, actually kind of scared me. I'm like, wait, I don't have to get up until, much later. All right, so there's that. Woohoo. Then let's go on to Stonehenge. Okay, so I got this one from user on Retconned, will work for answers. So she's looking at Stonehenge going, what? So she caught this one. I'm just going to use all of her observations. Okay, so her husband went there to Stonehenge, doesn't remember. What she was really noticing is this funky trench. So, and I don't know what this is. I actually noticed there's these things around it. I don't remember those. I certainly don't remember the trench. So obviously there's better videos. The last time I had the Stonehenge on, it was because of that road that's right next to it. All right, so this is like a graphic representation of what it probably looked like once. I don't remember this causeway thing. And how it actually looks. All right, so this is what it looks like now. I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. And then there's this trench. And then there's the road. Now, the road I've had on. I don't remember this road being like right here. I remember their road being, and there's like a paved one right here. So I just, there was no paved one like right there for me. And then this one wasn't there. All right, so this is an old one, an old image in case, so you can still see the trenchy thing right here. So yeah, this is the road I don't remember here. And you can see this is an old image and that road was there. In fact, what the heck? I just remember there being one. Now there's like 2. Actually, this is different than last time. Because there was one road. Now there's this one plus this one. I don't know what the heck that thing is. Oh, that's weird. Okay. What's that thing? And then what's this? What's this over here? I don't know. I actually don't remember like fields over here either. I don't know. The whole thing is weird. Every time I look at it, and like the henge itself, the stone configuration looks a little different. So this is supposed to be a really old one, but you can see that that dip is still in there even here. Don't know. Is that the one I just clicked on? Yes. There. And that, I guess, is the where the images came from. Those stones look more regular than I remember, actually, too. I remember them looking more... Interesting. I'm going to do a quick... Maybe I'll do a Yandex search. Oops, spelled it wrong. See how smart Yandex is. Yep, okay. Yandex knew I spelled it wrong. Yeah, see, those stones look more, they look a little more They look like they've been worked a little bit. I don't remember them looking, they look a little bit worked now or something. They're a little bit more even. And these flat ones, look, these ones on the top are really flat. So, interesting. That one's got a little divot on the top of it. Yeah, there's definitely, I don't know, it looks different every time. See this, I don't remember this either. What's this little dimple on the top of this one? Doink. There's that, the road, I don't remember. Okay, so now there's only one road that I see. So that is what I saw last time, just the one road. But yeah, this circle thing wasn't here. I don't know what that is. I don't remember these little ones being all around either, actually. Looks like there's little bitty ones all laying around. I don't remember that. There was just big ones and that was it. Look at how flat those are on the top. They look like they've been worked. Look at that. That was not like that. Oh, yeah, no. I'm not sure when that changed, but I think that is pretty recent. I don't think they were that flat last time I looked at Stonehenge. See, look at how flat that is on the side. It looks like it's worked. Before, it just looked like they took some rocks that were about right and like dragged them over there and stacked them. But now it looks like they've worked them. That can't be it. I mean, that can't, I don't think that is even it though, there. Just something Yandex pulled up. Suspicious. Okay, so, I don't know what you guys remember. Accidentally had too long of a nap this afternoon, wide awake. Yeah, I don't know, I'm still having that problem where I just wake up after dark. I'm not sure if it was really the sunset or is it's more like about 5 or 6. It seems like I wake up or I start to, like, my brain comes online around 5 or 6. And for a while that was when the sun was setting, but don't know, it's just weird. How is the conference? It's still ongoing, so I don't. To be honest, I've just been working, so I've only popped in on a few of the conferences. It sounds like it's overall went well, but there was some kind of a technical glitch for one of the speeches, but I guess they figured it out. They are building a dwarven Stonehenge in Norway. Every photo you're showing is different. It's as if you're showing different monuments. Stonehenge has always been kind of weird that way, and maybe that's part of, it's conveniently like that it looks so different from each angle, and then if you see an angle that you never saw before, you're like, oh, it's probably just another angle. It's kind of like a Mandela hider. So that's one of the reasons it's not as strong on Mandela as for me, because I kind of feel like, that looks different, but a lot of times I can't put my finger on, well, no, that stone was here. And then, so I know there was no trench around it, and I know that they weren't that worked looking, but I'm not sure on the other. See, I had the paved road on. If you watched all my shows, you should have seen it, at least in some timeline. I did a show on the road, but when I did the road, I didn't see that trench thing. In my timeline, the stone looked more whitish. Yeah, I don't remember like all this mossy stuff all over it, but this timeline loves the moss. That's probably why it was more whitish, because it wasn't all full of funky moss. But I've got, yeah, see, I've got moss growing all over the side of the house, and I live in the freaking Southern California. It's like half desert. I mean, it's definitely not where you'd normally have moss, but the moss is tougher now. I've covered this before. The moss here doesn't die when it gets hot. It just goes into dormancy. So in my old timeline, the moss would die every, I don't know, spring when it stopped raining, and then it could regrow from spores that were released, but that would be a slow process, right? But in this timeline now, it just springs back to life. So I've covered that before. I used to have lichen all over the roof, and now I have moss all over the roof. I do like some moss, though. Moss is nice. Yeah, it just, I don't know. It looks different. I don't remember this hole. I don't remember seeing that hole. I do remember them talking about some kind of a place where the sun goes through, but I don't actually remember there being a hole right there. Well, these look so fat. That one looks so fat. I don't remember any of them being that fat either. Look, they're very rectangular, some of these. They really looked, I wonder if they're going to become like worked, because they're kind of barking up that tree now that they've been like somewhat chiseled into position or into shape. Like that one and that one, there's so many, they're so close now. Stonehenge. I don't remember that. I don't remember that divot there. This one's a good one. That little dimple on the top again. I don't remember all these little dinky boobas here. What's this one, this one, this one? What are these little Dinkelheimer ones? They're like little baby stones. There was only big ones for me. These aren't broken pieces. They're little separate little Dinkel stones. Well, you can see them in there too. What's up with that? There was only the big ones. Look at those. Look at, there's like, it's had babies. There's, look at those. Look at those. Yeah. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Nope. Okay. Okay, I'm done complaining about Stonehenge. Now I'm going to complain about R2-D2. So somebody had C3PO up, and they were talking about something that's kind of older, and I took a look at R2-D2, and I'm like, what? First, I don't remember these things. So this is not, the movie. This is a toy, but you can kind of see it. But then I'm like looking, and so a while ago, some tubes showed up, but they weren't these ridiculous monster tubes that look like giant, I don't know what, vacuum hoses. But then what are these little, like cans on his feet? What are those? He just had normal feet. Now he's got these giant cans. I actually don't remember this thing either. It looks like a little cross. So I remember this one. Now, older Mandelas was like, people just remember him all silver, not white. Now the head is a different color. It's like the head's silver and the body's white. People don't remember all this blue, but those are all older Mandelas, like a lot older. So I don't know if you'll remember as I do, but I remember them all silver originally and not much color. So the latest one are these feet things. I don't know what's up with those feet things, but as you can see, I was doing a search just on the feet. So there's the feet. See if I can make this larger. Boink. So this, what is this thing on his feet? And actually, I remember these feet coming down solid. I don't remember these little smaller pieces underneath the big piece. It's all confusing. So yeah, I don't know what is that. I don't remember these silvery things either. I just remember straight like feet. You know, it's kind of like comes down triangle. I don't know what is all that. What happened to R2D2? So let's get a breakaway image. Whoops. Shut it. I'm trying to get rid of that, but it won't go. So you can see there's a bunch of stuff going on. I don't remember what this is. Actually, the arms have got a lot going on over here. I don't remember the dark cutout area in there. I don't remember these little bars under here. What are those? Now, a lot of people have said in the older ME they don't remember that third foot, which is, I agree, I don't remember third foot, but that's an older ME. So the whole side arms are different. Also, the head is a noticeably different color than the body now. I think that's fairly new. I actually don't remember that thing. I don't know. There's a bunch. I'm like, no. No. Oink. See, there's a lot going on under there. It looks like there's cans strapped to his feet. I don't think I remember this bright, big, like, red button either, actually. That's like, I mean, I remember tiny little flashy lights, but I don't remember, like, a big panic button on his head. Like there. That looks like one of those, looks like a panic button. I don't remember a giant panic. I don't remember that giant panic. I don't remember that. The more I look at it, the weirder it is. It's not right. See, look, the side there, that does not look right with the black in there. Oh, look, he's got windshield wipers. The heck, actually, don't remember. I remember a little thing that went, and then he did things, and then I don't actually remember it going sideways and grabbing things like that. Looks like a windshield wiper. I don't remember it being blue. Huh. That looks more like I remember. So these things are like little, I didn't realize this, but those are MEs for me, but they're like little additional hand things, apparently. Now, what I remember, I don't remember all this stuff on the body coming out from under the arms. I remember something coming out from the head, and that was the only things that would come out. So he's like loaded to the gills with little army attachments now, but I just remember like one thing coming out of the head. And see, it wasn't all zigzaggy like that. It was just straight. And they weren't this cool. They were really kind of, it was really kind of cheesy looking, to be honest. It was not half as cool as all that. Can't see too much there. See if we can get some longer images. So yeah, what that thing is. Okay, so anyways, there's that one. Oh, somebody gave me $10. Has anyone taken someone from being it was always that way person to a Mandela affected person? I have heard of people that they wouldn't change their mind on ones that it's always been that way. Like once somebody says it's always been that way, I've never heard of anybody changing that story. But I have heard of people working and working and working at someone and going, look, don't you remember this way? What about this? What about this? What about this? And kind of whittling them down until they finally, maybe ran into one of that, that magic Mandela effect that some people need, like the one Mandela, and then they finally become a believer. But they still don't go back and change their mind on their opinions on the other stuff. So generally, these are going to be people who make excuses for a lot of them until they finally get that one Mandela where, like, there's no freaking way that is right. So I have heard of, not super often, and a lot of times it's people with significant others who just can't let it drop and keep wheedling on them and wheedling on them. Ooh, somebody else left me $5. Let's see. Dum, dum, dum. 5. Can Mandela affected people become unaffected? I don't know of anybody, but I have heard of people that they said, like, their significant other agreed with them that the Mandela effect was real, and then, like, some weeks later said, nope, I don't know what you're talking about. Now, I haven't heard of this in a while. This was something that I heard of more like 3 years ago. So it might be that people that made it this far are more stable on it. I don't know. I'm not sure on that one. But yeah, thanks for the $5 too. Psh, appreciate it. Appreciate it. See, I'm paying attention. I'm wide awake tonight. Don't remember the circle carvings on those stones. They're not as slim. That one is really wide. They were talking about the Stonehenge again. Didn't they put smoother stones on it in the 50s or 60s with the work done on it? I've never heard of such a thing. I've looked into this before. The most I've heard is that they restack some of the stones. Even that I'm a little suspicious of, because I'd never heard of it, and then suddenly it became like kind of a viral meme. Oh, most people don't realize they restacked the stones. It wasn't originally that way. And at the time I went, oh, really? I never heard of it. But now I'm looking back at it, I'm like, maybe an early Mandela. Don't joke about them having babies. Do you all remember the living stones where stones have babies? No, I don't think so. But I do think they kind of do. Or I think that's maybe one of the ways that stuff sneaks into reality, because there'll be a stone and then there'll be like a little one. I've seen that on my hill across the freeway, is that you'll see like a stone, and it'll just be the one, and then eventually you'll notice there's kind of two, and one's in front of the other, and you'll be like, oh, well, maybe I just mistook that for one. And then as the months pass, they spread apart. Now there's two, but they do it sneaky like. So I've been watching. There's this one big rock that's just been having babies. There's like 4 babies up there now. Last year there was 3 babies. I don't know. First C-3PO's leg, and now R2-D2's feet. R2-D2 has had a lot of Mandelas, but it's not, I don't know, the color one is just easier. I mean, you have a whole different color foot. Someone's going to really notice that, versus this wire is in a little different area, or, people just, it doesn't smack people upside the head as hard. But R2-D2, I think, has had way more changes than C-3PO, but none of them are quite as head smacking as having a whole different colored foot. I mean, how do you not notice like a whole different, something is one color all over the body and then has a whole nother color foot? And that foot has been sneaking up too. I've covered that before. It was just the calf, but now it's like part of the knee is also silver. Emmy has a foot fetish. Well, you know, R2D2 has a lot of changes on the head and body too. That's definitely the 2020 model. But you know, if you look at the old R2D2s, he had that also, like the old images from the old movies also. He had those cans. I don't know what you call them, but the cans. Let's see. There's 1975-76 R2D2. All right, so you can see the cans are right there. This is from when I was a child. It's still got those things, and it's still got that cross. It's got that dark color here. It's got that thing. So it's all those things I was moaning about are on this 75-76 R2D2. Seen from The Empire Strikes Back. Yep, you can see the cans under there. You know, this foot has these like extra parts on here too, these little circle bits. I don't know if you could really see it. Let me see if I can make this larger. I don't remember those little bits right there either. There's the magical silver leg. And see, it has the panic button. This blue thing. I really don't remember that side thing. It's all different now. This whole middle stuff. Now, what I remember is like a silver body with just like little round, you know, machine. Kind of like here where this is. Kind of like that kind of thing was kind of plunked around. But now it's got like these vents and stuff. But yeah, he had just little circle doohickeys kind of stuck on there. So he wasn't painted. It was just silver. It wasn't all full of blue. This timeline likes more colors and weirdness. There they are on Hoth. View image. Yep, there's the cans. Silver leg. See, now the silver leg is up in the knee. Before it was just this calf, but now we've got this. You know, I thought that the leg was silver. I mean, the foot was silver, too. I thought, like, they put a whole silver foot on there, but right here it looks like he has gold shoes. So I just remember this whole part being silver. I don't remember his foot being gold, actually. So that looks weird. Yeah, no, I don't think that's right. Look, that's not right. His foot is gold and his calf is... Okay, so for me, when it showed up, it was the calf only, from like the calf down. Like they just took a foot, like a calf, and like the lower half of the leg off another robot and stuck it on him. And it was happened to be like a silver robot or a silver replacement part or whatever. And then, first it was just the calf, but then his knees changed. So they have these big round things on him, and then suddenly that was silver. But last time I looked, the foot was not gold. So that is another change. I'm not sure how new it is. I haven't looked at this in like maybe a few months. Yeah, see, that looks goofy. Now he looks like he's got shoes on, because it used to just look like one solid part. These things, the more you look at them, looks so wrong. Well, you can't really tell on that one. That one's interesting. Yep, look at that. Look, 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 look. Now it looks like he's got loafers on because they're a different color. No, that's so wrong. This is what makes me not get any work done, because I just sit there going, oh no, wait, there's that. Oh no, wait, wait. A lot of the images you're showing don't have a third foot. Yeah, he can drop that third foot down or suck it back up. That's why some of them don't have it. Yeah, originally for me, I don't remember it ever there being a third foot. Um, but that showed up. It's an older, definitely an older ME when that suddenly there was images of the third foot. A lot of people don't remember ever seeing it, and I think it would be fairly something you would notice if suddenly a third foot suddenly went out of the robot. I just don't think because you'd be especially in the 70s, you'd be like, oh, cool. Um, but tech back in time, even tech for movie tech was better in the 70s now than my old timeline. No, the third foot's old. It was in the original movies. Yep. That's an older ME actually. I love the show, but in Miami you stay way too long on every set. Well, you can't have everything. I gotta read everything, and then that is the speed of my brain. The thing related to black holes in the movie of the same name was called Even Horizon. Now it's Event Horizon. It was Event Horizon for me, so you're probably just from a different timeline. I still can't remember what got me to ME. It's driving me crazy. You can't remember your first one, or you can't remember how you found out about it? Because that is kind of weird. It's kind of stuck in my head. Somebody told me about it, actually. What are your thoughts on the new CERN build that will be 100 kilometer in length? I don't know. I mean, like, I know that CERN did it as popular, but I tend to think of CERN as more an effect than a cause because CERN also went backward in time. It wasn't in charge of the World Wide Web in my old timeline. So, yeah, I just, I don't know. I mean, it's not impossible that maybe in some timeline it did something and it spread itself to other timelines, but it's not impossible, but it's not my favorite. Sticks of TNT Nanaz Eva show. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You're just stuck with the speed of my brain. I can't become a whole nother person. I don't remember how I found out about ME. That would be weird. Um, Look up trovants. I don't know what that is. Let's check it out. Trovants. 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 The growing stones of Romania. Okay, I've never heard of that. I'm going to put that down. Trovants. That. All right. Okay. Now we're talking to a rock hound here, so this has got my attention. Now, concretions were a thing in my old timeline, but they would grow over geological timelines. They wouldn't be like you could, with your eyes, see them. Oh, this month it's bigger. Not like that rate of growth. And they were always like buried when they grew, so you wouldn't have been able to see them anyway. Trovants are extraordinary rocks that grow and multiply. You can witness these rocks in Romania. They have the ability to multiply. These rocks are composed mainly of hard stone, and the rest is made of sand, which forms around the core as a shell. Well, yeah, okay, that's concretions. I've just never heard of any of them growing in, human scale time. Any form of water rich in calcium carbonate is essential to forming a trovant, and there's also the key to make the rock grow in presence of rainwater. After every heavy rain shower, trovants absorb the rain's minerals. The minerals are combined with the chemicals already present in the stone, that later creates a reaction and pressure inside. The pressure spontaneously makes the rock grow from the center to its margins and multiply with a deposition rate of 4 to 5 centimeters in 1,000 years. Okay, so that's still pretty slow. Still, I've not heard of them forming in that way. They can also move from one place to another. Other than that, they also have root-like extensions and age rings visible when you cut the stone. But scientists have yet to find out an explanation for these unique features. Okay, the age rings kind of make sense. I'm used to them being ringed if you cut open concretions. I don't know what's up with the roots, though. That's getting really weird. These rocks came into existence because of the earthquakes, which occurred 6 million years ago, as the sand reservoir was created after the successive sedimentation of the detritic material transported by the rivers. You can also see this growing stones in Russia, the steppes of Kazakhstan, the Czech Republic, and other places. All right, so they're still growing pretty slow, 5 centimeters in 1,000 years. You're not going to visually be able to see that rate. I'm wondering, though, if this might speed up a little bit. Yeah, I've never heard of these. And, you know, I'm a rock hound, so that is pretty strange. These are really big concretions, too. Thanks. Oh, look at that one. Check it out. Wow. I've never seen any that big either. Every time it rains, see, the way I learned concretions form is like, yes, there's a little sand particle, and then over time, minerals just accumulate on the outside, layer by layer by layer. I've never heard of this thing where water causes a chemical reaction inside the stone, causing it to grow. I've never heard that storyline. It was just a kind of your classic accumulation kind of a deal. Some have calculated that trovants grow 4.5 centimeters a year. Okay, so what, 4.5 centimeters is like that much? So that is a whole different measurement than the other one. However, no scientific study has confirmed their exact growth rates. The Romanian trovants need rainwater to grow. I just don't get that because, okay, you drop the rain and it makes a chemical reaction, but, I mean, you can't just keep... Where's the material for it to keep growing if it's just... I mean, something has to go on it besides water. So I don't really get the explanation. The outer shell absorbs the minerals from the rain, causing the trovant to grow. That's just weird. Okay, yeah, good find. I've not heard of that. Yeah, no, totally never heard of that. $10 from Futuristic. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. No question, just $10. Very much appreciate it. So I guess I'm earning money again this week. Autistic. There was a person about 2 years ago who was heavily affected, but then turned into the enemy of the Emmy, saying it's not true. Now I do remember way back, like 4 years ago, somebody said on the main Reddit sub that they used to believe in the Mandela, but then they thought about it really hard and realized that they were just misremembering like everything. I don't think the person was lying. I hadn't thought of it until just now, but I never knew the person when they said they believed in it. And they were just sort of a lone person on the internet. So that's one of the reasons that I don't that I probably forgot about that one. But yeah, that one person. But no, none of us knew that person that I know of before they claim that. So I tend to take those with a grain of salt, because there tends to be a lot of story. I used to be a Democrat, but now I'm a Republican, because I realize the Republicans would trot these out all the time, and then the reverse, and I always wondered how much is just, more advertising techniques to try to belittle the other one. Like, even I found out all the inside info, and now I'm going to tell you the truth, kind of thing. I've gotten to the point in my life that I won't rule out or in anything as fact. Anything is now possible anytime the printed word in a book. Yeah, I've gotten like that too. I just like, the news now, it's weird because for years I've heard, oh, you can't trust Snopes, but I would look at Snopes and at least everything in there sounded plausible, and I would cross-check some of their stuff and it did seem accurate. But now, if I check Snopes, they're just blatantly lying off their butt, and even just checking their references, it's obvious that they're heavily shading or heavily altering the in a biased way their answer. So, like, if something could be 99% true, and they'll still say it's false because they'll pick some little tiny thing and say, oh, well, that part's not right, so it's just, or not, it's just obviously bull now, and the news is like that now. So I'm just wondering, I'm like, is this an opportunity to wake up people? Is that part of it? Like, how blatantly lying do politicians need to get? How much crooked stuff has to be splattered all over the place? Insider trading and all this, and how much reversals, 180-degree reversals, can the CDC and the WHO do before somebody goes, what the F? I mean, you see it around you. People are just like, this makes no sense. They're slowly, people who never were into conspiracy theories are now starting to go, no, that can't be right. Yeah, so Kyoko Money, the double walkways in the old image, apparently now there's just one walkway. So it probably wasn't a Mandela, but I probably just didn't see that old photo, and now they have different walkways. But you, like Dave Cook was saying, you just never know anymore. Make new legs, but keep the old one is silver and the other's gold. That is a good one. I like that. And Gainers in, welcome, welcome. A third foot. Yeah, actually, that is kind of a little bit of a joke that you've got to be careful of about the third foot, isn't it? I hadn't thought of that until just now. My first was Ford logo, then it was Volkswagen. Well, the guy who told me about it told me about Berenstein, and then he told me about dilemma. Now, dilemma is not a Mandela for me. I never had a dilemma in my old timeline, and I can't remember what the third one was, but it was some other one that I actually now consider kind of like small ones. I call them small because it's just spellings, and so I actually didn't look into it right away. I learned about it in June, and then in August I was like, oh, what's that thing he was talking about? I'm going to research that more. And I started clacking it in, and the biology ones, I saw a few like Interview with a Vampire, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fishy. There wasn't like really 100%, it was like 99%. I'm starting to get really, really, really interested. And then it was the biology ones. It was the rib cage. Somebody goes, well, the rib cage used to be open, and I'm like, you mean it's not open now? And I was flipping out. And then more biology ones. And then somebody said, well, look at the Arctica Mandela. I'm like, well, what about Arctica? And I actually didn't look right away because I'm like, well, I don't know a lot about Arctica. I could probably, I'm not an Arctica expert, so I didn't look right away. And then I kept seeing it, and I'm like, I had no idea that the Mandela was that Arctica was gone. I'm like freaked out. I was like freaking out because I just thought it was gonna be some detail about Arctica. It never occurred to me that Arctica would be gone. So yeah, yeah, I remember, and it would be weird not to remember. That is interesting that you don't remember. There's a lot of things that I used to remember really well about my childhood that I can't remember now. Um, it's very hard to remember my childhood. And they say that those are the memories that are preserved, and you'll forget about stuff, from the day to day. But my day to day memory is still better than everybody else's. I really feel like it's degraded, but it seems like everybody else is degraded worse than mine. So I guess I'm not ready to have Alzheimer's yet. I only remember how I stumbled upon Fiona Broom's stuff and read it for a week. Yeah, but how would you get to it? That's weird. I can remember the first time and how I found all kinds of weird stuff. Like I learned out about out of body travel because I was looking up there was a article in the paper about one of Einstein's theories, and it had to do with dimensions, and it was written terribly, and so I was like, I'm going to get on the internet and see if I can figure out what they're talking about. And then I stumbled on, when I typed in some like dimensions and stuff, I found this out of body travel stuff. Trovants. Yeah, I've never heard of trovants, and I've done a lot of stone stuff on here since that's kind of my area. I found out that Taj Mahal used to be a temple for Lord Shiva and is much older, converted to a mausoleum. No, what? No, the Taj Mahal was built by a king in memory of his dead wife. All right. That is the oldest story. He mourned his wife. He loved her so much. He built the Taj Mahal. I'm not sure about that spelling either. Taj Mahal. I thought Taj Mahal. I don't remember there being H in Taj Mahal. Oh my God. I'm going crazy. Taj Mahal. Yeah, so it was a mausoleum. He built it in her memory. He built it. To house the tomb of his favorite wife. I'm pretty sure he just had the one wife. Um, there were no other ones. Now it's his favorite wife. It also houses the tomb of Shah Jahan himself. Okay, I'm not sure about that. Construction of mausoleum completed in 1643. All right, I'm not seeing anything about it being refurbished older one. That there's been a lot of Mandela claims on it that I agree with, that it used to be way bigger and I just remember like a lot of people remember gold. I also remember a lot of blue mosaic work in it with gold. It certainly wasn't all white. It was a lot bigger and a lot nicer. The main finial was originally made of gold, but was replaced by a copy made of gilded bronze in the early 19th century. So the finial is just that little top pokey piece. But we remember the whole dome being gold. This is one that's really, at least it's not like a piece of crap now, like unlike the Sphinx and stuff. But it's very much diminished, very much smaller and fairly plain looking. This is interesting, these finials. The storyline lately with the mud floods. Okay, it started with the mud floods, that there was missing time. Um, that there was something hidden, and that something, so it's kind of, the story is rapidly expanded to being this whole era, like around the Middle Ages, that that is claimed that nothing happened, but the storyline has switched to being that that era was some kind of an amazing, they had amazing technology, and that they built all kinds of really cool, like all these really cool old buildings. And one of the storylines is these weird metal finials and stuff is on everything now. And so now I'm looking at this. And so people are saying these were some kind of energy collectors. I don't remember these metal finials being on the top of everything, but that they were. So the storyline, the conspiracy theory storyline now is that like, we did not build these buildings with slave labor and bricks, and so it's still quite beautiful, but it's not like it was. But that these buildings were actually built by some other race that was destroyed, like maybe in the mud floods or something, and that we humans took over the buildings and claimed that we built them, but that these other race were like giants, and that's why they had these big tall doors and everything. So the thing is, like, I'm just seeing stuff show up that corroborates this conspiracy theory, and one of them is these finials on top of everything. So the storyline, the conspiracy storyline, is that these finials were able to collect atmospheric energy of some type, and not, you weren't gonna like be super powerful, but it was sort of like the solar of the time, where they could get enough energy to power things. So I just wanted to comment on that, because suddenly I see these finials everywhere, freaking everywhere, and I just I don't remember it. God, it looks so tiny to me now. It was so much bigger before. Okay. Dum, dum, dum. I kind of lost my what my point of my story was, but so yeah, Mandela, good find on the trovants. Yeah, I had not seen that one. Okay, so yeah, that was the point, that Taj Mahal used to be a temple for Lord Shiva. Let me just see if I can even find Mahal, Lord Shiva. 10 facts that suggest Taj Mahal was built on a Shiva temple. Okay, so that's a little bit different. So they're basically saying they build on top of old foundations. That's been a real popular story. India's government has been dragged into a bizarre row over whether the Taj Mahal, widely seen as a masterpiece of Muslim architecture, should be converted into a Hindu temple. Claims that the monument, famously built by 17th century Mughal emperor as a tomb for his beloved wife, was originally an ancient shrine to the Hindu god Shiva. The petition, which was accepted by the Agra court, it calls for ownership of the monument to be transferred to the Hindus. Ooh. So Agra city is an ancient center of Shiva worship. The people who dominate the Agra region are Jats, and their name for Shivaji is Tajaji. And Teja temples. So Taj Mahal, Teja Mahal. This octagonal shape of the Taj Mahal is a special Hindu significance because Hindus alone have special names for the 8 directions. Yeah, so This is interesting because a lot of us feel the Taj Mahal is different now. So maybe now it does fit as an ancient Shiva temple. I don't think it used to, but it might now. This fits our kind of our system. We notice changes in things, and then 6 months later, 4 to 6 months later, um, there's a conspiracy theory that has to do with that specific change that we observed. So we observed a change in the Taj Mahal, and now there's a conspiracy theory that the Taj Mahal is actually an ancient Shiva temple. This is just classic Mandela. This timeline loves its conspiracy theories, and it's changing everything to be a conspiracy theory. The Taj Mahal has identical entrance arches on all four sides. This is typical Hindu building style known as Chaturmukhi, four-faced. The famous Hindu treatise on architecture titled Vishwakarma, blah, 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 mentions the Tej Linga among the Shiva Lingas, the stone emblems of Lord Shiva. Hindu temples are often built on river beaches and sea beaches. The Taj is one such built on the bank of the Yamuna River. Oh, this is interesting. A wooden piece from the riverside doorway of the Taj, subjected to the carbon-14 test, revealed the door to be 300 years older than Shah Jahan, since the doors of the Taj, broken open by the Muslim invaders, repeated the 11th century onwards, had to be replaced from time to time. The Taj edifice is much, much older. It belongs to 1155 AD, i.e. almost 500 years anterior to Shah Jahan. Okay, so if you trust carbon dating, it's carbon dated to being older than it should. All right, so I think this is just more, there's a bunch of Shiva plants in the Taj garden. The term Taj Mahal itself never occurs in any Mughal court paper or chronicle, even in Aurangzeb's time. Since the term Taj Mahal does not occur in Mughal courts, it is absurd to search for any Mughal explanation for it. Also, the Taj Mahal is scrawled over with 14 chapters of the Quran, but nowhere is there even the slightest or the remotest allusion in that Islamic overriding to Shah Jahan's authorship of the Taj. Had Shah Jahan been the builder, he would have said so in so many words before beginning to quote Quran. The cost of the Taj is now recorded in Shah Jahan's court papers because Shah Jahan could have never built the Taj Mahal. That's why wild estimates of the cost by gullible writers have ranged from 4 million to 91.7. Okay, so interesting. The second name Mahal is never Muslim because in none of the Muslim countries around the world, from Afghanistan to Algeria, is there a building known as Mahal. However, if the Taj is believed to be a burial place, now how can the term Mahal, but its components, namely Taj and Mahal, are of Sanskrit origin? Okay, so again, we've got another story of somebody taking over an existing building and claiming it as their own. This is like, I was just saying this, and now I read it, and there's another example of it. So the storyline being pushed is that, there was another race that built all this cool stuff, and we just claimed it. And they had this really cool tech that we don't understand. So if you're looking at how things have been going and you see that the news is no longer trustworthy, in my old timeline, 10 years ago, it was. You might see a little bit of bias, but they wouldn't outright lie. And they do now. And Snopes and the internet. And they keep lying and reversing and flip-flopping until the general populace at some point, a fair percentage of them are going to have to admit to themselves that the news is lying and are big fat liars. So they don't trust the news anymore. You can't trust. So the storyline is you can't trust history because it was written by the victors and the white people and the media and all these things. So you can't trust anything you ever learned. You can't trust anything that's ever on TV. So you can't trust anything. So once you get that attitude, then a whole new history and reality can now be presented to you, and you will much more easily accept it. So I'm wondering if this whole thing that's happening is kind of the way we're going to come into the new reality. Is how are you going to get people to accept this new reality? Most people are not going to be able to accept that reality magically changed. It's too hard on them. Even a lot of Mandela people are not really looking at any of this stuff as Mandela's. They are all following the party line that this is all just hidden info coming out. But, you know, we have seen the changes in these items, and then comes the hidden info coming out. And this Taj Mahal is an exact example of it. So I think that basically this is how the new reality is getting introduced to people so they can accept it. And I think they have to accept it. They can't be like, nope, this is baloney, too much. Now, some of us are doing that, but the majority, I think, are going to have to buy the story. And the only way they're going to be able to buy the story and still live, you know, with their minds as this being a real place is to have all of their assumptions broken down. And by the news acting like complete stupid idiots, and the WHO and the government and all the politicians and all these people blatantly lying and changing their story every, you know, sometimes within 10 minutes they'll say one thing and they'll say the opposite. Corruption just so in your face, it's ridiculous. Insider trading, all this stuff. So at some point people trust nothing, and at that point I think they're willing to accept new stories. Oh, these stories, it's the truth coming out, that it was always hidden by all these different factors, and it was underground, and then blah, blah. And a lot of the storylines for why it was hidden or why we wouldn't be told are weak. I mean, some of them are strong, but some are weak. But people are just, that's the new story, that there's a whole nother story that you were never told. So it's interesting. It's starting to kind of come together in my mind now how this is working. Petite, what do you mean CERN storyline changed? Okay, so for many of us, CERN came about in like 90s maybe, to build the Hadron Super Collider that is now called the Hadron Super Collider, another Mandela. But in this timeline, CERN goes way back, and they actually developed the World Wide Web, and that was just not the case for the rest of us. It was a private entity along with DARPA who developed the WWW, and CERN wasn't even in existence then, and sure as heck did not develop it. So there's the change. I don't know if that's the one he was talking about, but that's a big one. $10, woohoo! I made $24 total today. Score. Thank you, Futuristic. I appreciate that. They are spreading. We're talking about the trovants. They used to be only in Romania. I'm not surprised. Now, somehow I didn't learn about these trovants either. So, interesting. I probably would have put it as the thumbnail. I refuse to write bizarre in the new way. Yeah, I know. Some of them go back and forth. Some of the spellings are making me crazy. They were already hard to remember ones, and now they're flip-flopping. It's kind of stabilized a little bit, but there was a while there where it was like, it's... Military was a developer of internet. Yeah, well, here CERN was heavily involved with let's look it up. CERN. This is kind of an old one. Developed. Make sure it hasn't changed for one. Never can trust the burst of the web. Yep, here we go. And I've never heard of this guy Berners-Lee until this story showed up too. Berners-Lee. Birth of the web. The World Wide Web was invented by British scientist Tim Berners-Lee in 1989 while working at CERN. See, the Brits weren't involved for me either. It was Americanos. Tim Berners-Lee, a British scientist, invented the World Wide Web in 1989 while working at CERN. The web was originally conceived and developed to meet the demand for automated information sharing between scientists and universities and institutes around the world. That's close, but Brits weren't behind it, and neither was CERN for me. The first website at CERN, so the first website was at CERN now, in the world, was dedicated to the World Wide Web project itself and was hosted on Berners-Lee's Next computer. In 2013, CERN launched a project to restore the first ever website, info.cern.ch. Yeah, see, CERN wasn't even there yet for me. It certainly wasn't. I guess it's possible it was there and I just didn't know about it, but it was not involved in the development of the www. I've seen that history so many times, too, and then, what was it, about 3 years ago, suddenly CERN showed up. CERN made a release available with an open license, a more sure way to maximize. It was, it was universities, but it wasn't CERN. But in this timeline, it was. Yeah, it was DARPA plus universities and a private guy. But see, it was DARPA and Tim. That sounds right. Tim something. History says that the Taj Mahal and pyramids were tombs. I can't believe that. Why I built a tomb nicer than your house. Now that was always the Taj Mahal. In my old timeline, really was a tomb for his supposedly. He loved his wife so much and was heartbroken and never got over her death and built the Taj Mahal in memorial to her. Now, I don't remember there being any other wives. There was just the one wife. She died, and he was like, I only ever loved her. So apparently in this timeline, maybe he just oinked an existing location or something, or somebody just wrote history wrong. Yeah, DARPA was involved for the internet itself, but apparently CERN has stuck its little claws in for www. But it was definitely Americans for me. I agree with that. It was not Brits. Scientist Tim Berners-Lee. That sounds right. Military had ARPANET. I do remember ARPANET. Yes. DARPA, ARPANET, and universities and the private American was involved. There were no British and there was no CERN. CERN now just got permission to build the larger Hadron Collider. Yeah, and then watch, just next year it'll suddenly have been done for 6 years and it's turned on already or something. Things are just getting whack-doodled. All right, so where are we at? So this one is sort of weird. Maybe I'll leave that one up for tomorrow. Eruv. I just swear I would have heard of this because it is the most crazy thing. And I have known a fair number of Jewish people. So apparently, and I knew this guy that came from a really strict Jewish family, and he used to tell me about how certain, like during certain holidays, you weren't allowed to do work, and like turning on the light and off the light was considered work. Like the definition of what was work was weird, and so he would just kind of lament a lot on how crazy it all was, because not turning on lights is a lot more work than turning on lights, but the official definitions of what was work. So apparently now See, there was no workaround when I was a kid. You either followed that law or you didn't. And he kind of was supposed to, but when he would go to school, he wouldn't really follow it, you know. So and then he felt very torn because a lot of the rules were, you know, by our standards, fairly ridiculous, but yet that was his religion. And so he was torn. But apparently now you can string this string around and then make all the laws not count. And the string is called the Eruv. Um, and it extends a domestic zone into a public zone. See, now this all these rules, I don't remember there even being an exception to them in the domestic zone, but apparently now they have this domestic zone, and the way you determine it is by stringing this string, and it's called the Eruv. So here's where it gets weird, is that apparently they strung it like all over Manhattan so that they could have a domestic zone all over Manhattan. So there's this freaking string. Um, and it's been there for like 100 years, and it's the ritual halakhic enclosure made of the purpose of allowing activities which are normally prohibited on the Shabbat due to the prohibition of Hotzah, specifically carrying objects from a private domain to a semi-public domain and transporting objects 4 cubits or more within a semi-public domain. The enclosure is made with some Jewish communities, especially Orthodox Jewish. All right, so this they and it's can't be more than what a quarter inch thick, which is pretty thick. So this line is spread then all over and demarcates this public zone to be private, and there's like miles and miles of this line all over different towns and cities, including Manhattan. Often a group constructing an Eruv obtains a lease to the required land from a local government. The Eruv allows Jews to carry, among other things, house keys, tissues, medication, or babies with them. It's like this has nothing to do with how it worked when I was a kid. Maybe that's been this way. I don't even know when this changed. I mean, maybe it's been this way a long time, but it's totally crazy to me. And allows them to use strollers and canes. There wasn't a rule against all those things in my old timeline. House keys? The presence or absence of an Eruv thus especially affects the lives of strictly observant Jews with limited mobility and those responsible for taking care of babies or young children. So, if you go to Eruv, Manhattan, the string is part of an Eruv. Most people walking on the streets of Manhattan do not notice it. So this thing, I mean, there's like miles of it. There is an Eruvin in more than 30 states in the U.S., but Manhattan's is one of the longest in the world. All right, so apparently they string it along the phone lines and stuff. A nearly invisible wire runs from 126th Street in Harlem down to Battery Park and back up to 111th along East River. The line has been placed in some form for another for just over a century. From just before dusk on Friday to just after dusk on Saturday, observant Jews are prohibited from performing basic activities. See, I do remember cars and electricity and I don't remember keys. Cars and electricity were work, not keys. And you couldn't use those at home even. So he said it was dark in his house when they observed these because they weren't allowed to. So he said you could turn on the lights. You couldn't flip the button. So you could flipping it was like the work. So they would just turn on the lights and leave them on, and that's how they observed this no work. So anyway, yeah. So there's like miles and miles and miles of this stuff. There's even these stories like if they're inspected, if the Eruv breaks, there's like a panic and it has to be fixed immediately. And what if it breaks in some place that's private property and you can't get permission? And the line encircling much of the island is a patchwork formed by 20 years of breaks and repairs in the line. It is only since the late 90s that there has been a structured system for its maintenance. An early version surrounded the whole island, but no one seemed to know its precise boundaries, and everyone just sort of assumed someone else was in charge of maintaining it. That really doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. I mean, like, I really think this is new because nobody was in charge of maintaining it for all those gajillion years, and then suddenly now there's a system for maintaining it. When a group of rabbis in the 80s took a boat around Manhattan to create a map, they realized that most of the wire was gone. Now it's more tightly regulated and subsidized by the community it helps to create. Weird. All right. Oh yeah, about the gajillion super colliders. Yeah, we were talking about that like 4 years ago, that there's tons and tons. There's colliders everywhere. There's colliders in every college now. They're just smaller. That's the other thing, they can turn off the CERN one, but there's gajillions of them all over. Other countries have them. Yeah, it's such an old ME, I guess we just kind of stopped talking about it. Okay, so I've kind of talked about the hand before. There's been a lot of talk about. If you watch people wave, you'll notice that this finger sticks way out now naturally. The thumb is lower and longer. Used to be much more, like that. So I noticed we've talked before how the back, the fingers look longer than the front. So a couple days ago, my fingers were just hurting in here for like no reason. Not like my left hand ever does any work anyway. I just noticed something. If you stick out your hand, and look at it. So I would look at it like this. Look at the back of your hand and think about where you remember your knuckles bending at. Like, where do you remember the bend occurring at? And then actually bend your fingers and look and see where it actually bends at. Because for me, this has changed. I just remember it bending over here near where the fingers started. But if you actually look at it now, like half of your palm bends with it. I remember the bend being over here more, and it bending like here. But now it bends like way down there. And these knuckles look huge now. I think they're way more beefy than... I think it's been sneaking up on me. But basically, when you bend your knuckles, you bend your whole palm in half. I remember it bending, over here where the fingers, close to the end of the palm. So now it's almost like a mitt. It's pretty bizarre. I just don't remember that it. Your palm almost folds in half now. It used to just be fingers that would fold down like this. But now the whole palm just collapses. So I just realized I don't originally remember your palm folding in half. Moonlit Illusions going to sleep. Take care. Pinky super short. A lot of people think that Pinky has just come way down over here. I don't think it's actually shorter. It just it used to be straight across here, and so now it starts lower, basically. People remember the hand being more like this. Interestingly, it looks right to me, but I'm forcing these fingers way over. Now this is the natural shape, but people remember like that. There. There, that's pretty close. It's very hard. It's very hard to maintain that now, but that's what people remember. That's what I remember anyway. There's nothing that hasn't changed in the body. I think that's correct. It's just some things are more obvious than others. I had a chronic pain that was associated with the injury to the knuckles that has ceased to ache. Yeah, I have this kind of ongoing problem with where my calf muscle attaches down to the back of my heels. And I've noticed the last month or so, there's still problems. They just don't hurt. They used to really ache, and now I can feel they're tight. I still stretch them, but they don't send pain signals anymore. Neither one of them. And one of them's a lot worse than the other. And they just both stopped sending pain signals, which is interesting. I'm not complaining. I got to remember to still stretch them, even though they don't hurt, because I can feel they're tight. But I mean, they really should be hurting. They're so tight. Like I hadn't played a lot during COVID, and then I went back, and that it was really it was the tightness that really should have hurt, and it just didn't. The hand is crooked on the arm. Yeah, exactly. It used to be this, and then, yeah, this used to be straight across. Then those were over there. And that looks normal to me. And then this thumb smaller. I mean, that looks normal. Now it's like, bloop. Yeah, exactly. It is crooked. That's a good way of saying it. It's crooked on there. It falls naturally crooked. You straighten it out, and then you bend your fingers way over here and look at it. And look at it and see if that looks familiar to you, because it really looks familiar to me. And since hands don't normally do that in this timeline, it shouldn't look familiar. Seeing signs changing, colors, logos changing. Yes. Yes. Hand changes possibly located, related to change of pulse location. A lot of the nerves and stuff have changed, definitely. I think it's a lot more protected now, too. It's harder to find that pulse. Used to be you just stick your finger right there, and it was right there. I don't have lower back pain as often anymore either, and I fell down from a tree and left pain. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that people are starting to have less problems. I'm actually surprised it took this long. It really lends credence to the concept that like injuries are some kind of energy form first before they show up in the body, because so many body parts have changed, yet a lot of people still have similar problems. It's like the problem carries through the timelines even when the structure changes, which is something very interesting to talk about. Meridians have shifted. All spring, I couldn't use my hands much better now. I hope it stays. I have loads to do. Yeah, I've had, there was a while where they were really stiff and achy. I thought I might be getting some kind of, I don't know if I'd say it was arthritis. They were more like stiff than achy, but it just seemed like they weren't, working that well, especially the right hand, which is the one I use all the time. But it went away, so I don't know. get better vitamins. I don't know. See a lot of Mandela effects and business signs around the neighborhood. Definitely. I mean, some of them are just local businesses, so it's not really worth me covering here, but I see them. Something about the knees as well. I haven't been able to get into a half lotus for decades. All of a sudden, no problem. Yeah, I think really all of them are upgrading. I'm glad to hear people are starting to have less problems. That's also good for me. Unfortunately, I'm still like super sleepy during the day. I'm hoping eventually I'll get past that. I'm still looking for, improving my vitamin intake. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. Maybe I'll hit on it, or maybe I'll get through to where we're going. I don't know. Last week, everybody had a severe headache. It was a weird week. I did have a lot of headache problems. I've been trying to, work on ways where I could just kind of mentally lessen it, but maybe it's just, I'm just past the headaches. Damaged my mother's Achilles tendon. She never walked right after. I don't know. I guess I'm a good healer because I have very much damaged it through the years, and somehow it still functions. Take magnesium when you think you've shifted. I take magnesium every day for years and years now. If I don't, I get muscle cramps at night and some other stuff. So, yeah, I just always take it. Headache and motion sickness. Yeah, I feel like slight nausea. I get the headache. I get the, a little bit nauseous. It's very irritating and so tired. And then, around 5, I feel much better. On a real bad day, I might keep the headache, though. There's been a few of those, but most days I feel pretty spry at about 5. So it's like I'm turning to this night owl or something. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Got that. Stonehenge. Trovants. Okay. So, kind of flipping out, I was just looking up something to see what was going on. I've covered a bit of this before, and I don't think I covered this exact thing. Now, I do remember that we had an outer crust that floated on magma. Okay, and basically the Earth was a big ball of magma with an outer crust. So now the crust sits on this mantle, and the mantle is actually metallic, and it's hard. It's a hardcore thing. They say that over geological time it acts as a liquid, but it's not actually a liquid. It's hard. Okay, so then where's the freaking magma out at? So I think last time I looked at it, it was all in the middle. The magma's in the middle, then you've got this mantle, then you've got the outer crust. But now the inner core, now they've got an inner and outer core. See, I just had the one core, but now there's the inner and outer core. The inner core is solid now, and then the outer core is magma, and then the mantle is solid, and the crust is solid. So we've got this little blue blah of magma here, kind of sandwiched in the middle. And it looks like a candy. There's the nut in the middle, and then the little caramel, and then the hard outer crust. So how do we get the magma way up here? So now they're kind of saying that the pressures cause some of this to re-liquefy into magma and come up to the top. Now before it was magma would well up from the center up, but now they're kind of saying no, I guess with having the magma that far away, how does it get up here? So they're kind of saying that it squishes around, and the friction re-melts some areas, and then that blobs out, and that's where you get the volcanoes from. So the volcano story is different. have not seen this one. How Earth's inner core remains solid despite heat. It's hotter than the sun's surface. Ah, I have not heard that one yet. Yet it doesn't melt. The iron remains in solid crystal form. The crystallized iron core of the Earth remains solid. A new study from KTH Royal Institute of Technology. So I haven't heard of this hotter than the sun business, actually. So inner core, outer core. Now they got the lower and the upper mantle. Maybe we'll see more changes on that, because once they split something in half, they're going to make changes. Used to be just one mantle. Now there's the lower inner mantle. So anyway, I don't remember the Earth's core, the center being solid, but it is now. All right, now on a whole nother note, $1.99 from Julie. Thank you. Appreciate it greatly. I saw a shift with space today. We are 1,000 light years farther from the galactic center, and there is a spur connecting the Orion arm to the Sag arm. I do remember that spur. That one's old for me. That's interesting that you think we're further away. But I have to admit, I'm not looking at light years. I'm just looking at about how it looks according to the whole overall shape, and they have added a lot of arm surface area on the outer part, so it's not the most reliable way to track it. My circadian rhythms have been erratic at best for months despite efforts to regulate. Yeah, and this COVID thing, people are probably blaming it on that, but my schedule hasn't really changed. I'm still shipping. Other than not going to pickleball, not much has changed. I mean, I can't go to restaurants either, but those were never something I did really early in the morning or late at night anyways. So basically I have the basic same schedule. I didn't do pickleball every day, so that was only a few days. So what have I noticed? I mean, for years it had been getting it was harder to stay asleep. It was just a little bit harder to fall asleep. I've developed mental heuristics to induce sleep, so I can pretty much dodge that problem most of the time, but I would wake up at 5 o'clock all the time, all agitated, and it was hard to fight that one. I've gotten better at it. And then I started to get sleepier during the day. That's been pretty bad for like 2 years, but it's gotten really bad the last year. So what happened lately? For one, when I go to sleep and then I wake up, I don't really have a concept of how long I slept for. I used to kind of know, like, all right, that seemed like a pretty long sleep, like 7-8 hours, right? Or that seemed like a little bit short sleep, like 5 or 6 hours. But if it was only like 3 hours, then I would know, well, I don't think I've been asleep that long. It's only been 3 hours. I could definitely tell the difference between a 3-hour sleep and an 8-hour sleep. But I can't now. I don't know how freaking long I slept. I have no freaking idea until I look at the clock. And I'm shocked because sometimes I think it was a long time and I've been asleep 2 freaking hours. That's really weird. And this thing now where I'm wide awake after 5, I don't even know how to deal with that. I don't know. Seems like I'm wide awake until about 4, and then I try to go to bed before the sun rises. It was that way for months. I'm trying to get back to a normal schedule. I can go to bed early. I know how to induce sleep. This Wednesday night thing kind of throws a wrench in that, but I just can't seem to stay awake during the day. I'm just like in this zombie dumb land, and my brain, I make mistakes, I forget stuff, and then at 5 o'clock I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this, and this, all these things I couldn't think of all day. Suddenly my brain goes, bloop, and I start getting busy, you know. So I don't know. It's like my brain isn't like zombie. It's the zombie apocalypse. So I thought I was doing bad, but then I'm driving around taking care of errands, and everybody else is being a worse zombie than me. I mean, I was trying to just get curry from this guy, and I think I had to tell him like 10 times at the restaurant that I already made the order and I was just wanted to pay for it. And I'm like, this is my order sitting here and I want to pay for it. And then, he go, what's your order? And I told him, and he goes, okay, it'll be done in 15 minutes. I'm like, no, it's right there. It's done. I just want to pay for it. And I mean, I must have had to go through that route like 5 times before I'm like, no, it's completed. You know, you have already made my food. You don't have to make it again. It just, this story that I went through today, I just was like, I can't believe that this person speaks perfect English. He seems like his brain is working, but yet he's like, it's just been happening so much. I can't get through to any organization that I need to make phone calls with. I mean, I can see Best Buy. I'm trying to fix my printer, right? I can't get through to Best Buy. So then they say, oh, go to chat. Okay, so into chat, can't get through. So then I sent an email. I sent that yesterday. Still have not heard back from Best Buy on my email. So I had them do a call back yesterday. Okay, they're going to call me back in an hour. Never received the call. It's been 24 hours. I actually had to drive to Best Buy to get this business done. It was ridiculous. So then I locked myself out of the car, so I have to call AAA. All right, I can see Best Buy. Everybody's home doing work from home. They're apparently sold out of almost all the computers on the planet, and all the printers are sold out. But what is AAA's excuse? People are at home on lockdown. I could not get through. Excuse me. I was like on hold for 35 minutes. I finally was able to bypass the system and do it online. Luckily, I still had access to my laptop. Once I got through to the actual local tow guy, they were there in 10 minutes because it was the middle of the night. So there was no, how can they be so backed up at the middle? They don't answer the phone. I mean, I can't get through to anybody. It just, I'm like, what the heck, man? I don't know. It's just been it's been a weird couple days with just people acting just complete zoned out weird. Whoop, where did it go? I was right there. Now I hear about the theory that there is a flat Earth inside of the spherical Earth. Well, I don't know. There's got to be that dome thing, right? I mean, like, so what's the? So maybe the dome would be spherical, but wouldn't it be like a dinner plate with a cover? Because unless there's another Earth around the backside with another dome, I don't know. And maybe we'll find a bunch of evidence for it. I don't know, because this place is weird. This is one weird reality. There are supposedly hard things inside the crust now, inside the core. Even though the sun is hot enough to be plasma, which acts like a fluid. Yeah, the whole storyline for everything is keeps changing now. Why do planets have hot cores in the first place, though? Well, I remember it being temperature and pressure, but I did always wonder why it was, I guess, it was so hot that it melted. That made sense. But now that's, there's so much pressure that even though it's hot, it stays solid. Both of those kind of make a certain weird sense. So, yeah, that's the story, is the pressure, it makes it so hot because of gravity and all the weight, that it melts. I remember it was hot as the sun and not solid. I definitely remember it was not solid. I thought we were headed towards the galactic center, was looking for the better Milky Ways. Well, maybe it'll zigzag around a little bit. Who knows? And I noticed the galaxy is getting bigger too, so maybe we're still closer to the center than we were before. They've been adding a lot of stuff on the outside. They could only drill 7 miles. The rest is fantasy. Well, we don't even know if they drilled 70 miles. 7 miles. We only have a story that they drilled 70 miles, but you weren't there putting 7 miles of stuff into the earth yourself. So who the heck even knows what the earth isn't an upside down pyramid? I don't know. I don't know on that one. QP was a solid iron core. You're more local than I am. Wouldn't surprise me to discover some of us moving in opposite directions. Yeah, it could be. I could be going this way and you're going that way. Definitely things flip flop different for different people. Passing in the night. I don't know. It doesn't sound crazy to me though. I don't know what I believe anymore. Yep. And maybe that's the whole point. It gets so crazy that then we're like primed to accept the new reality because we're not attached to the old reality we let go. So, what reality will you get? A new one. Hopefully, for some of us, it'll be a good one. I read everything like a novel now. It feels like one. Yep, reality does. I'm actually, kind of excited to see what the next big whack doodle thing is. I'm like, okay, let's see what's next in the excitement novel. The inner core now has bizarre shapes in it and are solid. Yeah, I was reading about that. There's these weird lumpy areas, and then that affects the magma flow and a little blah. Yeah, that's kind of a new thing too. I can go hours after an hour or two of sleep. It's irritating. Like sometimes it seems like things will wake me up. Stop trying to keep a schedule. Have taken this a day. Yeah, it seems like I really should just Val Gallego. I get energy at the evening. It's just that I'll be all by myself, like doing everything, and everybody else is sleeping. Um, I don't know that I'm not ready to be like the vampire. I fall asleep faster, like within 15 minutes. Okay, interesting. Actually, I used to sleep within like 1 minute. So if I take 15 minutes, that seems like really long to me. So I use mental heuristics sometimes so I don't waste a bunch of time trying to fall asleep. I know I'm pretty busy, so I'm like, once I lay down, I don't want to be laying there not like sleeping. I need to get like done with the sleep. There has been understanding issues with everyone nowadays. Yeah, I'm just wondering if, I definitely feel like I'm more of a space cadet. I'll be writing stuff and I'll leave out words like whole two. Used to be I'd just leave out one word. Now I'm like rereading. I'm like I left out like two words and misspelled the third word or so like maybe it's just affecting other people even more than me, and that's why that guy could not comprehend the fact that my food was done and on the table. Um, just stuff like that. I don't know. Uh-oh, I'm frozen. Not receiving. It says it's not receiving enough video, so it's receiving some video. At least I can catch up with the chat. Dark Wolf's Den is in. Aren't you sleepy after all that tons and tons of work? I bet you're like running around with your head chopped off trying to get all the shows done for iMac. Unfrozen. Hopefully you didn't miss anything. One thing of sleep I've noticed is sometimes I just really, really don't want to sleep. Sometimes when the Schumann goes crazy, I feel so awake. I think I never want to sleep again. That's how I feel at night a lot. Um, and then in the day, I just can't get my brain to like. It's like I got up and I'm walking around, but like only 10% of my brain is working, and I'm like so. I just can't, get the rest of it online. Emmy is not the weirdest thing in this reality. Synchronicities, pop ups, baffling. Yeah, there's a lot of weird. I've kind of made it. I kind of accepted the you make your own reality stuff some time ago, and it does really work. The Mandela is still the weirdest for me, though, because all that other stuff can be blamed on coincidence. Now, it's an extreme coincidence, it's an unlikely coincidence that, say, the stuff I just happen to need keeps magically showing up in the alley. We call it the magic alley. I'm like, oh, I really need another light fixture. And then I go to work, and there's a freaking light fixture in the alley, abandoned, perfectly functional. Just exactly what I wanted was the fluorescent ones. Just the two of them, which is what I needed. Stuff like that. But it could still be blamed on coincidence. But like when the whole continent disappears, like Arctica, then no, that's still more for me. It's still way more head smacking for me because you can't come up with a rational explanation for that. No, it's impossible. It's coincidence. Well, I agree with you because it's just too much of it. I mean, if it happened once in a blue moon, it's coincidence, but it keeps happening, right? But for each individual event, it could still be explained away. I don't think that, um, I don't think that's what's really happening, but there is an explanation that could be fronted for it. Whereas when a whole continent just magically disappears, I cannot come up with even an unlikely explanation. Yeah, we were joking about that magic alley for years before I even knew about the Mandela. Um, I was kind of into the law of attraction stuff, so I was kind of going with that. But and it's not just stuff I need; it's like people I know, like somebody I know needed one of those. What do you call those things? You lay on them and they have wheels and you can roll under the car. Um, and he needed to work on his car, and then he didn't have one, and then I found one in the alley. And sometimes there'll be like one thing broken, but it's easy to fix. Like we really wanted to have a generator, but we just didn't really want to cough up for one. And I found a generator in the alley, and I'm like, well, it's probably broken, right? So we bring it back, and it just needed like one valve replaced, and then we had this fully functional generator for the cost of um, some parts that we had on hand already. So now we have a generator. It's cool. And also a compressor. The same thing happened with the compressor. We really needed a compressor. The praying wasp. Okay, let's check it out. Yeah, those are creepy looking. Yeah. Oh, it's like half praying mantis and half wasp. Yeah, that's a new one. Yep, I haven't seen that one yet. I'm not a big wasp fan, I have to say. There's a nice face for you. See, I wasn't even going to have any creepy bugs on here today, but you made me have it on there. So I take no responsibility for that one. Murder hornets, they're praying wasps. Okay, so where are we? Okay, so probably everybody has already spoken about this but me, but Juneteenth. And the first person who mentioned this was actually on last week's live stream, Kai Lucas Zachary, good find. When I was re-looking at a part of my live stream, he had mentioned it in the comments and I had not caught it. And he was asking about Juneteenth. Yes, I have never freaking heard of it. It seems like most people haven't heard of it, but a few people think it's totally well known. I have never heard of Juneteenth or setting off fireworks at any time other than 4th of July. So, yeah, Mandela for me. Weird. I've been seeing variants of 44 for years now. If I have to say what my number is, it's 44. I'm the 44s, and I don't really have a good reason for it. It's just my number. It's been around for a year. Oh, really? Interesting. So there's even like one of the shows. I think it was Escape the Shackles, Break the Shackles. What was her name again? It's Removing the Shackles. This one right here. She was just doing her show, and she said she even had black people contacting her saying they never heard of a Juneteenth, and it's supposed to be like especially popular amongst blacks as a holiday. So, ever seen the gator gar, the alligator gar? That one I have heard of gar. They are a fairly older creature for me, like 10 years. They've continued to change and get more creepy looking. They weren't this creepy looking when I first knew about them. The reason I know about them is because they have like these bone scales like that, and the scales are something that I sell. So they were just gar though, they weren't alligator gar. So I'm thinking maybe they may have split because there was just the gar that had them. Gar. Yeah, it looks like they've split. Ray fin fish fossils from the blah blah. Weight of over can get to be 100 pounds. They're getting bigger and bigger. Gar flesh is edible and the hard skin and scales of gars are used by humans, but gar eggs are highly toxic. Huh, not heard that one. The name gar was originally used for a species of needlefish found in North Atlantic and likely took its name from the Old English word spear. Confusingly, the name guardfish is also commonly used for a number of other species related to genera Strongylura, blah, blah. All right, so I remember them being called gar, the ones that had the bony scales, but now they're calling them alligator gar. And this whole thing is kind of vague and flippy floppy, so I suspect that we're kind of mid-shift here. Gar bodies are elongated, heavily armored with ganoid scales and fronted by similarly elongated jaws. So it sounds to me like all the gar have this. It's not saying like how many gar there are. They're just saying gars are members of leopard. So is it just one kind? Okay, see here there's a spotted gar. So that has to be different than other kinds of gar. One would imagine. I mean, you don't need to have a spotted gar if there's only... See, that's why I think there's mid-shift. This is like all... You can't really... How many gar are there? Do they all have the spiny bodies? We know that they're a member of this family, but we don't know how many gars there are. Then they're saying here that some other species are also called gars, but they're not really. Yeah, I think that we're talking midshift for those. It's like knowing what the Gap band was talking about in You Dropped a Bomb on Me. Did you know the Earth is turning into a giant pyramid? Okay, let's look that up. Yes, I certainly have not heard that one yet. Earth 9 intriguing facts about the Giza pyramids. I don't see it. You're going to have to give me more clues. Not finding that one. I might need a little more of a hint. Are you talking about my voice? It sounds kind of scratchy. I don't know. I've just been working real hard, and sometimes when I do that, my voice gets a little scratchy. I haven't been sick. You know, I did go off of my antihistamines like a week ago too. So I don't know. Maybe that's affecting it a little bit. Okay, I got 3 left. Let me just make sure I gave everybody credit. Ooh, I skipped one. Horrors of horrors. Okay, so apparently they recently discovered a new steak on the cow. Like, there was a place on the cow that had good steak that they, for some reason, all these years, never knew. And it was just discovered. I mean, like, how many centuries have they been cutting up cows? It's called, so they named it the Vegas strip steak. So 10 years ago, supposedly they discovered the flat iron steak. New steak discovered for the first time in 10 years. Meat expert unveils the Vegas strip cut from obscure area of shoulder. Obscure area of shoulder. I mean, like, what area on the cow? We're not talking about like it's hundreds of miles away. Obscure area of shoulder. A new cut of steak has been discovered hiding in an area of the cow that normally is used for chuck due to its fat, gristle, and cartilage. So apparently it's a lot like a boneless T-bone. It's got pretty good marbling. It's fairly tender, and it's called the Vegas strip steak. And there it is. Looks like looks pretty good. So it's like just above the shoulder here on the side of the body. You can see the image right there. So yeah, they found a whole new cut of steak. So their story is that they just for cajillions of years just made that all into chuck because it was low quality meat, and then suddenly somebody went, oh wait, there's a really good cut of meat hiding in there. Yeah, right. So all right, next one. All right, I kind of covered this last week, but I didn't realize I was missing most of it. So I talked about last week how the Habit Burger and Grill in the B has tipped for me. Whoop. Or actually for you it would be like this. So they put one of these in near me, and I saw the sign every day, and suddenly the B went bloop. And that was last week. So somebody noticed, they're like, wait a minute. And that was Divided We Fall is the commenter on the channel. So good find. So he remembers this being the Hamburger Habit. So when they put this in, I actually never heard of it, the Habit. I have heard of the Hamburger Habit. Yes, that was a a chain store called the Hamburger Habit. Well, apparently now the Hamburger Habit is just the habit. I did find one Hamburger Habit, and it's a lone restaurant in Los Angeles, and they don't have any but just that one. So if you remember the Hamburger Habit, apparently there is no chain called the Hamburger Habit. Now it is just a habit. I did not find any history. Here's the Logopedia of it ever being another name. Um, so, unfortunately, I don't remember a ton about the Hamburger Habit. I remember there being, a bunch of them, and then where I moved now, they didn't have any. And I just assumed this habit thing was like a whole nother restaurant. I didn't realize that it is this timeline's version, apparently, of the Hamburger Habit. So, weird. And I looked, and this one's all over the place, too. I mean, it's in tons of states. And okay, so I got two more. The first one, I'm just going to ask you guys, no cheating, no checking on a Google, just from memory. How do you spell daqueri? That like that drink, that mixed drink called a daqueri. How do you spell that? Because Sandman, the commenter known as Sandman, remembers it being different than what it is now. And I look at it, and it looks weird. This is not one I'm 105% on, but I'm suspicious, so I'm just going to bring it up. Okay, so then I'm going to jump ahead to something else. And while you guys tell me how to spell daqueri, after one of my son's open heart surgeries, the surgeons told me gave me a bovine patch number for my records, but years later the cardiologist said he took the notes that it was a homograft, i.e. human donor. Oh, interesting. So you got a human donor instead of a bovine donor now. How could 5 surgeons in the room with him have gotten it wrong? He was the only patient he had, and they gave me the patch while they were wheeling him into the ICU. Yeah, I know. Might be my first memorable Mandela effect. It's pretty darn weird. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right, daiquiri. Boy, there's a whole bunch of versions. All right, looks like Sticks of TNT might remember it. He might have the current timeline, that is. Daqueri. To me, it looks really weird now. That habit place is yummy. Terrio, I might have to try it. First, I should have been a daiquiri. That's about what I remember. Daquari. Daiquiri. I could see Daquri, but that doesn't look too horrible. So apparently it's Daiquiri. I just, that looks just wrong. Daquiri. daqueri. I don't remember that when I first saw it, I was like, I don't remember that. But it's weird because 24 hours later, suddenly it's starting to look more and more normal all of a sudden. But I don't remember all those eyes everywhere. I certainly don't remember that first one. But the QUIRI also looks suspicious to me. I just don't remember it looking like that. Oh. But I'm just not 100% on that daqueri. I kind of wonder if there was an E on there. There's too many freaking eyes. Daqueri. So more like that, DAQUIRE or ARARE, daqueri. I could just get away with IRI, but that still doesn't look right. And then when you add that extra I on there, I'm like, no. So I'm pretty sure that one's changed, but I'm not going to swear to it. And that was Sandman who came up with that one. Some people are sure there's an AI. Yeah, they've got a number. So I'm going on Thursday, but then they have a Friday one. A Friday schedule. I don't know how long does it go for Dark Wolf before the show's over. So they have like 3 speakers. Doesn't it end on Saturday? Die is different for me. Yeah, you don't. It just. Friday is the last day. Okay, so tomorrow I go first, and then there's 2 people after me. So I'll go, and then I'll do the Q&A right after, and then there's another person in their Q&A and another person in their Q&A, and then there'll be like a grand hour-long panel. And then Sea Angel. I think I've already done Sea Angels. Sea Angel. Yep. I've done those before. There was one new thing about them, though. I think it was those extra wings or something. They are very neat. You know what it was? I think they were just plain old white, boring Aronis, and that's what's changed. Yep. So now they've got this gold and these extra colors. When they first came out, they were just clearish and whitish. So some kind of sea creature thing, I forgot exactly, but yep. See, this one's got red and gold. So that's what's new. They've got this additional coloration now. All right, so this is not as beautiful as Sea Angels, but who was it that brought this one up? This was will work for answers. Just notice the continuing crumbling of the Sphinx. So this is the older one. I don't remember this giant gash up here. There was some damage in here last I checked, but now there's this massive gash in the head. More of the nose is missing. There's multiple gouge, like 3 gouge marks. Most of the lip is gone now. In my past stream, I was saying that it looked like a black man's lip because the lip had gotten really plush and big, more like black people. But now most of the lip is torn off, so you couldn't really say that. This giant gouge in the head is new for me. Also, there's a lot more missing down here. The ears are bigger. So this is through time. This is like a historical one. So a lot of these are really old ones, old photos. So look at how much of the there's like a giant chew mark out of the head now. These are older ones. So then apparently they repaired it. The face just looks different to me. It's more squared off than last I remember. Okay, so, and it just looks like crap. What is this? It just, It's just all slathered together. It just looks like badly slathered plaster now. Um, and this is an old photo. Look at it's just mostly repairs. I don't remember them repairing it with a bunch of crabbly bricks way back then. It looks like hell. I mean, I've been complaining about this for a while, but it's even worse now. It just looks like. The other thing that's very new for me is the head now is dark and the body is light. Now, I am sure that they'll say it's because the head was exposed and the body wasn't, because it got buried some certain amounts of times. However, I just don't, it just wasn't like that before. Also, looking at this image, I don't know what these are, like crappy repairs. What's this thing? Okay, so here I don't know if they've repaired the head or it's just, can't see it very well there. So old repairs. But see, way back then, there's brick everywhere, way back. I don't remember the paws being all bricked up way back. So apparently during the war they did this now to protect it. That's the first time I've ever seen that image. Look at the headpiece. It just it just looks like crappy plaster now. Now look at how much darker the head is. So now they've repaired it again. That past one, some kind of bad commercial. Look at the back. It's even worse than ever. I don't remember the mouth sticking out quite that far. Looks like this is a tad bigger. I wouldn't swear to it. This little keyhole thing. Look at even down here now. It looks like bad plaster. Eyes looking very strange there. The face is just more, I don't know, it's a little different than last time. I also don't remember these little lips on the bottom of the hairpiece. Okay, so here, this is pretty old now, but so the repairs are stupider looking than ever. I don't know what's up. Okay, this is the back foot, but what's this business? This is the front feet. This is the back foot. The tail's gotten huge, and it's getting crumbly. But what's this? What's this thing? I don't know. I've not seen that. And the repair, it just looks like a wall now. It doesn't even look like a Sphinx. It's a little, I don't know. All right, so there's the back. So now it's just like a wall. It's hell. It looks like hell. Look at over there. There's like nothing left of whatever it once was. So another shift, another degradation of the older stuff. So the Sphinx is looking crappier than ever. And we've got the Taj Mahal now might be just stolen from the Hindus and never actually built by the guy who supposedly built it in honor of his wife. Look at that side there. It just... And even somewhat older pictures have this. It's just all cobbled. I mean, really? You can't repair it any better than that? Are you serious? The tail has gotten fat too. It every time I look at it, it's a little bit bigger. So big gouge on this right down the middle. The eyes too are in worse shape. It's missing a lot of stuff now. You used to be able to see the eyes fairly clearly, but they're basically kind of gouged out now. And close that. The tail. The Sphinx tail. So the tail having shown up is an older Mandela. And it gets bigger and fatter. And look at how new the tail looks. Everything else looks like hell. So I don't know if this is supposed to be repairs, but from the minute it showed up, it looked all nice and clean. So it's gotten fatter and fatter. This is a fat tail now. I used to say that I thought it was like a lion, um, if it just had a little hair, but I don't know what animal has this big fat tail. Like, I guess maybe a dog, but it's fat. It's a fat tail. Fat butt tail. Um, the way it curls up here now, it's starting to look like a cat almost. But see, there's no tuft on the end. Well, that was my argument before, that there was no tuft on the end, but now the end of the tail is all scabby. So look at this back foot. This back foot wasn't in this bad a shape before. There's just a wall here, and the tail is so scabby you don't know what's at the end of it. So when the tail first showed up, it was clearly did not have a tuft. But now maybe it's broken off and there was a tuft. So now you don't know. So anyway, the Sphinx is looking like hell. Oh, that's an interesting angle there too. I've not seen this angle before, with this kind of bump on the tail here. That doesn't look natural. I don't know. Look at that. I don't know. Weird. Crappy repairs. Oh my gosh. It's like hell. So yeah, there you go. Oh. See, look, there's a giant gouge up here in the head. There's before it was repaired. That piece. I remember there being a gouge here, but this not missing this whole bottom part here. I mean, way back, this whole shape was different. It was more like squared off. It would like this and down. How the headdresses used to be were more like this and down. And then the ears were not visible. So that's all changed. But see, even way back here, it just looks terrible. I mean, it looks like it's mostly plaster. So I think that's everything. Make a strip. So yeah, that was will work for answers. Finds a lot of stuff on the main sub. I mean on retcon, not the main sub. Good job. Will work for answers also found the trench thing around the Stonehenge. Good job there too. So 2:30. I think we're coming down the home stretch now. Remember, shoulders on the Sphinx. Yeah, actually. Wow, look at that. Is that really the Sphinx that look at how bad it is. Yeah, I definitely feel like something's changed around that area. And there's like these weird bumps in the front. I can't swear on that shoulders thing. I just, the whole area does look different. God, that looks terrible. Look at that. Oh. It's going to be Anubis, guardian of the underworld. There's now a lake under the Great Pyramid with like Osiris in it. I thought it was going to be Anubis when the tail first showed, because it really looked like an Anubis tail. Now, my old timeline, it was a lion, but it didn't have a tail, so you couldn't really say. But now the tail's gotten so fat, I don't know, maybe. And the tip is missing, so. The body seems narrower. You can't tell, it's all under brickwork now. I don't even know what the body is. But yeah, the whole thing is just a little different, way more brickwork, face different, tail's bigger. The head used to be too small for the body. I think that is still true, isn't it? See if I can find a... So yeah, there was a long... I mean, I long suspected it was recarved. And so the argument was it was probably like a lion head originally, and then they recarved it because it was in such bad shape because only the head was sticking up and you couldn't see it anymore. And it's smaller because of that reason. Yeah, it does kind of seem like the balance is better than it was. Let me see if I can find a pullback one where you can really see it. That would be interesting if the head got bigger or the body got smaller. I mean, it used to be so blatantly, obviously, too freaking small for the body. I think there's definitely still argument that that's too small, but it is not as ridiculous as it was. Of course, I don't remember the Great Pyramids, any of the 3 pyramids being right behind it either, like they are now. That looks crazy. I think I still have the tail, so maybe that's why I'm not finding any good photos here. You know, when the timeline is hiding something, you can't find certain images. And then that image comes back, certain angles. So yeah, the head still looks quite a bit smaller. I don't think it's bad as it was. I still want to know what this thing is. What is that? I do not remember that being there. Or this little thing. Can't really quite see it there. I need like a side view. I'm not finding side view. Side view. No good side views. There's so much stuff around the Sphinx now. Maybe you can't really get a side view. See, look at he's just degraded. He's just, there's almost nothing there. The head just does not look as small as it used to. It still looks small. The body is just, it looks horrible. Look at that. It's just a wall of brickwork. You can't even really see the original dude anymore. All right, so anyways, ooh, look at that one. Look at that. It's terrible. Psh. That's just piles of bricks. They can't repair it any better than making a giant pile. Look at that. It's awful. Anyway, yeah, that just, I can't get over how horrible it looks. All right, so yeah, get some rest. I gotta go. I'm gonna get some soon, like in the next couple seconds. Well, I'm gonna sign off in the next couple seconds anyway. All right, so there's like Osiris goo under the, ooh, $14.99. Thank you. Russell Boyles, appreciate it. Look at that, I made $41 today. Woohoo! So yeah, if you guys are awake tomorrow, check out the show. I'll eventually have the show on here, but I'm gonna let it sit on theirs for a long time. Make sure everybody sees it, that I was ever gonna see it over there, and then I'll put a longer version over here. All right, guys. Thank you all for the super chats. Very much appreciate it. And trovants, thanks for the info on the trovants. It sounds like some kind of invader thing. Invasion of the trovants. Anyways, so yes, think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.